Koji from Celestial Rhythms, and this is now the one we look at this year's powerful moment when Earth is farthest away from our Sun. I just recorded a little historic video about 2001 when in July on the 4th Earth was farthest away from the Sun, did a chart for that and showed you the powerful correlation. So if you haven't seen that yet, maybe you want to start with that one. So this is a very important moment, and again I want to show you here the little graph here from this website. That is where we are. Every year is a little different, sometimes the 4th, sometimes the 5th, 3rd, because it's a chaotic motion in general. That point, I just shared this article here, astropixels.com, which gives you kind of the mathematical background. It's very interesting. That's astropixels.com, or you can Google it with aphelion, perihelion for Earth. I did share it here on my Facebook page just today, and if you're not yet a member of that one, I invite you. Just go to search Celestial Rhythms, you will find it. So these are very powerful moments when Earth is at these extreme points. It redefines the relationship between the planet and our Sun, and that happens twice a year. So these are moments which hold strong predictive power for the coming 6 months. So let's dive into it. Let's see where these next 6 months, what's the main themes. So obviously, I guess the biggest one is the Mars-Saturn opposition squaring Uranus. That T-square is powerful. I wrote a bit about it, quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, as it's right now at its maximum, planting the seed for the whole next 6 months, as you see, because Uranus is pretty much exactly between the two. If we do the midpoint here, this is 13 and this is 1326 would be the midpoint. So this structure resonates very strongly, and then at the same time we have that powerful T-square of Sun and Earth with Chiron. Okay, what does that mean? First of all, Mars-Saturn is clashing energies, and Uranus is the one which is really in the pole position, if you want, in the middle of it. He's the orchestrator, he's the one which holds the strings. Uranus is in Taurus. Taurus, the sign of manifestations, physical manifestations. This is bringing this Uranian energy down to Earth. And interesting also is that Saturn is in Uranus sign. So kind of this is a fight on home grounds, if you want, a home play for Saturn and for Uranus, kind of understanding where Saturn is coming from here. And Mars in the mid of Leo, that's a real fighter, someone who has courage to do the right thing, stand up, be loud, be vocal, act on one's belief, one's faith. So this is the bigger picture here we're looking at now. How is this expressing? Well, I guess it's pretty powerful to see here Mercury and BNR right in the center of this zero meridian's zenith. That's in Greenwich, over the zero meridian of Earth, which separates the left and the right hemisphere, so to say, the western and the eastern hemisphere of Earth. It's a plumb line, if you want. So we have Mercury here, high up. Okay, I guess the theme is very clear. It's about seeing what's going on, waking up, speaking about it, communicating. And BNR is Centaur, the strong man, free spirit, unusual, exuberance, expansion. These are words which I found on Zane Steen's site about the Centaur planets. Zane Steen, probably the first to really got into research of these new bodies, planets. So Mercury here is in this union with the BNR energy, having that forcefulness to and demanding the sovereignty and the freedom and the power to be heard. And then we have Neptune here squaring Mercury, and Neptune here, really powerful place. So this is a year or a half year, 6 months of total confusion. Yes, I guess that's the best way to say it, in a very general way. For most people on this planet, that is what it will be experienced as. Really pushing it even a few notches higher. I guess it is that cognitive dissonance, that noise, which starts appearing in the background of people's minds. Something is just not adding up, and the more this becomes obvious, the more people are jumping ship and realizing and becoming the voice of change. Now, very interesting how this fits in with the American nations chart. More on that later, but just one thing I want to say, and I'm quickly going there actually as I speak, is that axis 21, Pisces, and Virgo 22 and 19, just keep these numbers in mind. That's the black moon and Neptune here in the 9th house. This is the chart for July 4, 1776, and that's the one which Dane Rudyard was rectifying. I really can connect with this energy. The Sagittarian aim for freedom, for liberation, for civil rights. I mean, these are the most powerful ideas these forefathers had. So the Sag rising in many ways makes sense. Also, there is the Great Attractor here very close by. Great Attractor, always when a planet or something is there in one's personal chart, is enlarged and emphasized. Jupiter is there for the ruling planet. Jupiter is about expansion, ever bigger, ever greater, ever vaster, very American in my opinion. I'm Canadian, by the way, so I'm kind of in a close place here to observe, and it's easier to see things from outside. That's my point. Anyway, what I want to say quickly here about this chart too is the interception of the 9th house and the 3rd house again, which gives this kind of echo chamber effect, of which makes it easy to divert people, to separate them from one another, because really there's some inbreeding of thought and of information going on here. And always when there's interceptions in a chart, these are the two places of evolution. That's where really it's like a pressure cooker, you could call it. It is cooking and getting things to a point where they become edible and digestible. But it's a process and it takes time, and it's not an easy process, as it's kind of putting these issues into a separation, cutting them off from the bigger pictures now. There's no house cusps running through these signs. That's how it shows off. Okay, so so bear with me now. Here we have, aside from Black Moon and Neptune, you have also Chaos here. And Arrokoth, I do like this opposition a lot. It really shows that even though there is all these deceptive and programming, mind control forces at work, there is Arrokoth here, the saving grace, which is challenging to really unpack all that and bring it into the open. That's all the research which has been started pretty much since day one. There's always been people who do excellent and wonderful work who will be honored later in history, big times. These are the big heroes. And then the whole thing squared here by Mars at 21 Gemini. So this is a very, very powerful structure here in the American chart. And again, when I speak of the American chart, the independence chart, is way bigger than just the American nation. This was the beginning of a new civilization, of a new idea. And America is just the first country to liberate itself from the dark forces, and that fight began in 1776, and it's just coming to a crescendo and to a conclusion in the next few years. So, okay, before we now go to the other chart, just want to remind you of that T-square, and now look at this. 21, that's the American nation's Mars. That's the American nation's Neptune. Arrokoth. Neptune over here, together with Chaos, and the Black Moon, actually the the equatorial point, which is the global ascendant. That would be the you see, this chart is for Greenwich. So in Greenwich, midheaven is 21 Gemini. That's just right above, at that moment in time when the sun is farthest away from Earth. This is the ascendant for Greenwich, and this one would be the ascendant for the equator on Earth. That's the equatorial point. It's almost same here. 1932, now let's go back to this one, 1928. That's interesting. So is this telling us that globally what the theme of this year will be, which is the ascendant, is kind of the theme, and that is the conclusion, if you want, in a simple way said? The theme will be the American nation's shadow, collective shadow. That's where this all is now strongly focusing on this Neptune. This Neptune is being exposed and dismantled, and lights are thrown at it from all sides. It is under real attack from Mercury, BNR, and then here, this is the real wonderful thing that presently Neptune by transit is activating the American nation's Arrow-Cot 2, so it's in multiple levels. You see, that's where Arrow-Cot is here, helping us to see the full picture. And Arrow-Cot by transit these days is in the 19th, 20th degree of Cancer, and actually the upcoming new moon in Cancer will be less than a degree, I say it wrongly, and the new moon in Cancer will be opposing Arrow-Cot. Arrow-Cot is in Capricorn, sorry about that. Okay, I'll show you quickly, then you see. That's where Arrow-Cot is right now, 1950, yes, the coming new moon at 18 degrees something in Cancer will be opposing Arrow-Cot, which means from the sun scene, Earth will be conjunct Arrow-Cot. Okay, this is telling a lot also about the second half of this month, and new moon will be also when Mercury changes signs into Cancer after having been an excessive amount of 68 days in Gemini from May 4th till July the 11th, I guess, something in that range. And then, so this has been kind of the re-ignition of a Mercury cycle, as Mercury was passing between Sun and Earth in the last few weeks. That's always what happens when the Mercury is retrograde. It appears to go backwards. In fact, it takes it moves past Earth, as Earth is slower on its path around the Sun. So what I want to say also around new moon, the 11th, Mercury then enters Cancer and bringing all that information into a pool of emotions. This will get really interesting, and this is in line with the Earth aligning with Arrow-Cot. Oh boy, I think whatever is uncovered between now and the 11th, kind of in that powerful stretch of clashing energies, of breaking things open, from the 11th on forward, this will start slowly hitting people's emotions, and we're in the middle of this great awakening. It's happening. By August, September, the world will be in a different place. Promise. Yes, confusion will be what is starting the breakdown of the whole system. Interesting here also vertex again. Vertex, the higher dimensional descendant, the kind of our aim where we want to meet with life. Nessus. Nessus, yes, Nessus. Pathological behavior, dark stuff. And then naturally, I haven't even touched on that yet, the really big theme also for this week's, it's more than just this week, it just gets exact around the 9th, I guess, Black Moon, Sedna. The moon is close by here. Ceres, Pelion. Okay, let me translate. Again, the black moon is the collective shadow. Sedna is strange, alien, dark, unfriendly, but also has a strong connection with primordial nature. It's kind of that silence of the deep sea, where everything is, it's kind of another dimension, another frequency altogether. And at that level there's total peace. So it's a powerful planet. Sedna takes about 11,000 years to circle the sun just once, and it's substantial in size too. It's about 1,000 to 2,000 kilometers in diameter. Visiting the inner solar system in this 21st century, I guess in 2074 it will be closest to the sun before again starting to venture out on another 11,000 plus year cycle. Alien worlds, weird things, strange, dark, and again this is in the last degrees of Taurus, the sign of physical manifestation. The moon here in the 23rd degree of Taurus, in close conjunction with Ceres, earth goddess, implies that this is also here to tune in with Ceres' darker theme, which is the loss of her daughter Persephone, who was abducted by Pluto, Hades, which can throw Ceres into that spell of totally disengaging and going to a grieving and mourning. Pelion here, I mentioned Pelion just in my other broadcast. It keeps showing up where things are amplified. Pelion is here putting a weight on something. Make this bigger, give it some size and shape so it can't be missed. All this, by the way, in hexagram 23, which is collapse. Let me just quickly show you this. Those of you who have not seen that yet, that is my from my old website, where I show you the overlay of the 64 hexagrams. So if we zoom in here, and that is based on the Human Design Systems transmissions. Very powerful, for those of you who haven't worked with that yet. You can find the all the exact degrees where these new hexagrams start and where the different lines are on my old website here. So 23 is collapse, and you see that is the picture here. There's a very weak structure and the roof is caving in. That's the idea here. So this hexagram always is becoming really big and important when some huge shifts and changes are happening. This, by the way, was the degree where Jupiter and Saturn met in the year 2000, in May 2000, at 22 degrees 47 in Taurus. That I have written and mentioned that, written about it. These were the 20 years of collapse of bringing the system down. I guess it takes a little longer than that, but I guess the big work has been done on multiple levels. Think 911, think the big economic collapse, and then the start of the collapse of the deep state when finally we had a president who really was working for the people, with the people, and all this will soon come full circle. So we're in the tail end of this prolonged Jupiter-Saturn cycle, if you want. And all this up in the 9th house, so it will be proclaimed, it will be loudly broadcast into the world about all that abuse, all these dark stuff, themes, which now, I mean, in Canada, you must have heard the story of all the graves which finally have been confirmed. I mean, we knew that for decades, this was all known, but now it's been pushed into the general public's view, and now everybody is becoming aware of that satanic ritual abuse which has been going on in the Catholic Church for a long time, not just there. I mean, this has been known to all our governments and leaders, and they were in that too. That's the only explanation, and that is what will eventually show itself. That's the direction we're going. That's what's going to unite the people. Yeah, will not be very much fun, but it's an important step to go through, and it's very much in that line of that T-square Chiron, the wounded healer, has with Sun and Earth in this root chart for these coming 6 months. Most interesting too is Juno at the south node. They're close with Huya. So Juno is teamwork, partnership, standing together, the realization that it needs many pillars to hold a big roof. We have to support one another, and this will be our greatest resource. That's what this shows, to help each other, support each other. Venus is conjunct Mars here in Leo, both, and actually just days away from a conjunction and a new beginning. So in a way, this shows that we are in an ending phase of creation, of bringing something full circle here, and there will be a rebirth coming. It's just around the corner. The sextile the Sun has with Uranus is interesting. This shows that that Uranus definitely has that support from the greater cosmos. The Sun always represents the prime source of energy. A sextile is a friendly aspect, kind of giving a friendly support to Uranus here in this powerful position between Mars and Saturn. Okay, now let's move on to this same chart here for Washington, D.C. As this is still the power hub where things will, I would say, ripple out of. So what I really like about this chart is here Arrokoth again and Helonome at the 7th house cusp. Arrokoth most exactly, which really shows that yes, it is America, the United States, where people are a little bit ahead of the game of awakening, of demanding truth, justice, demanding their rights to be respected, demanding corruption to be tackled. Interesting also that this is T-squaring the American nations Chiron and Juno axis. So let me just show you. Chiron, 20 degrees Aries, Juno, 20 degrees Libra. And this is showing the deepest wound here the nation has, is that they were played against each other. That is that Chiron Juno, just cutting through relations, through the population by color, by whatever, not by I mean, we know left, right, and all that stuff, and all these different agendas, just to play people out against each other, men against women, I mean, on so many levels. So this is truly the wound, and that is to be overcome, that we stand together as one, and then we're invincible. I said that in my last video. It is bringing light into coherence. That's the only difference between a flashlight, a regular flashlight, and a laser beam. A laser beam has not to be more powerful in that sense than what a flashlight produces. You can have a little laser with a couple AA batteries, and it's very powerful. It will blind you if you walk into the ray. So all the difference is that all the photons are moving in sync in the laser beam. That's what it is, and that is really the healing power. On that note, I just want to show you something here, as I have it here right now. Last year I did quite a few broadcasts on comet Neowise, and Neowise came in from the general direction of 21 degrees Libra. That is where it came in, from far, far away in that range. And then it came close to the sun, and then it left this inner solar system, its orbit got tweaked, and it left around the 11 degree Sagittarius mark. I have here a little picture. It might be a little small there on that camera, but it shows you. Maybe you want to stop, and I post that again in my on my Celestial Rhythms Facebook page. Then you can look at it more closely. So what I want to say is, this is a big activation which happened by this comet, and it redirected this energy to unite it in that area of the ascendant and of the great attractor here of the American nation. Also there is Spheroids here close by, and Huya. Spheroids at 9 degrees, Huya at 16. A very similar pattern I found in the first man who climbed all 8,000 meter peaks on this planet, Reinhold Messner. He has a very similar configuration on his ascendant with Spheroids and Huya. Now Spheroids again is the bear's power. Something which is just if you get in its way, you better run. Huya is named after a Venezuelan rain god. It's about transforming and transmuting karmic energies, going through process of therapy and healing. Interesting is that Huya by transit is here right now, again at exactly 13 degrees Sagittarius. So there's this healing process going on too at the same time. See, that's Huya here, actually dead on 1313 Sagittarius, exactly on that ascendant of the American nation, on that day of the 5th. Huya is a very slow-moving planet. It's a Kuiper belt object, so it's kind of going forth and back over that degree for a few years. But it is definitely very interesting that it is most exact on that ascendant. So yes, 20 degrees Cancer, 20 degrees Capricorn, and T-squaring, that would be the American nation's natal Chiron and Juno here, activating those two. Bring awareness into this theme of having been divided, bringing light into it. Arokot. Hilonom is about healing, about resolving past issues. So, furthermore, the midheaven here in Aries is beautiful. Shows that, I mean, again, this is the theme in that sense, and this is the conclusion. That's kind of an easy way to remember. The ascendant is the theme, it's what gets us started, and this is where we finally find the essence and the direction to move into in early Aries. It will be a new beginning these next 6 months. Mercury here once more is, as I mentioned already, in this T-square of Neptune and Pallas and Astrea, again coming in as a force who's seeing the problems, understanding where to lay hand on, where to roll back one's sleeves and get involved. Pallas here with Neptune, one of 2021's themes. There are 3 exact meetings of the two. Pallas bringing light into the workings of Neptune. And Neptune, as I also posted not too long ago, has now 2 eyes. That's the way I interpret that. The 2 storm systems, kind of the 2 vortexes on Neptune's surface, which started appearing in 2019, giving us the ability of stereo vision, of being able to see through the layers of reflections, of fata morganas and mirages. Neptune is definitely in the spotlight, and I guess if we do here the midpoints, I'm guessing the 10th house cast the Senate here is the midpoint of Neptune and Chiron. Let's just do it quickly. 35, 3603, 1802 is 302. Yes, 302, just a little more than half a degree from that midpoint. Neptune, Chiron. Again, it's about healing, but also exposing all which has been done in the name of Neptune, in the name of just hiding things in plain sight and pretending and creating narratives, using particular charged words in cutting out pieces of the conversation. I mean, you name it. They're so blunt about it these days. And if nothing works, then you just get deplatformed or deleted. Yeah, certain links you cannot even post on Facebook anymore. They immediately show up. This goes against our community standards. Anyway, it's becoming so blatantly obvious, and that's what we need. And this will still be going on for a while. So it will be an overlapping. The new information will come in even stronger and more loud, but at the same time the deceiving voices will also get louder, and there will be this interference which will create so much noise that people will have to wake up from it. So yeah, again, just going back as a last, as you can see it once more, Mercury here up high in the 22nd degree of Aquarius. This is actually the Aquarian dwad of Gemini. If you subdivide Gemini into 12 parts of 2.5 degrees each, that's kind of the fractals. So the first 2.5 is Gemini, Gemini, and then from 20 to 22, 30 Gemini, that is the area which resonates with Aquarius. Aquarius, again, Uranus energy. So it all links back into that Uranus is the most important planet of this year in that T-square of Saturn and Mars and Venus. Sparks are flying. This is the war coming into the open. Anybody who still does not see that is either dead or so fast asleep they will not be able to survive on this planet. They will have to go. They will have to make space. Sorry, but that's as it is getting. Thank you so much, and I hope you learned something. And if you did, then maybe you want to subscribe, give it a like, share it. Thank you. Okay, till next time.